How is it that it's June already? It seemed like just the other day the new year was beginning and I was fussing and fretting over everything that I wanted to read and everything that I wanted to do for 2024. And here I am. Half the year is almost gone by. Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I'm here to do my reading wrap-up ending June 8th. The first book I finished was Eyes of the Void by Adrian Tchaikovsky, the second in a trilogy called The Final Architecture. This is just good old-fashioned space opera science fiction. Humanity has spread out to the stars. They have a method of traveling faster than light that is called going into unspace or unreality. And there's many aliens that they meet. Some of them nice, some of them friendly. Some of them decidedly very unfriendly. They meet this species called the architects. And these architects like to redesign inhabited worlds in ways that kills off all living beings on that planet. And that's the first book, and how these people learn to deal with the architects. But the architects are not going away. They're coming back with a vengeance in book 2. Now, book 2 is very much a continuation of book 1, called The Shards of the Earth. All the characters are introduced in book 1. You have one or two new characters introduced in the second book, but you definitely need to read the first before picking up Eyes of the Void. And if you like space opera science fiction, you like getting involved with the characters, because these characters are becoming kind of like buddies. You've gone through one book and now 2 books, and I'm really getting attached to some of them. And unfortunately, I know in book 3, some of them are going to die. I'm pretty sure about that. So, a good strong recommendation for Eyes of the Void, but pick up The Shards of the Earth first. The second book I finished was Little Big Man by Thomas Berger. I read this on my Kindle. It was originally published in 1964. It is an historical novel. It is a Western. It is a comedy. It is literature. It is all those things. It starts off with a man who's living off his father. His father's a wealthy businessman, and this man named Snell, well, he wants to be a writer, and he's looking for good stories. After recovering from a minor surgery, his nurse tells him about a very old man in a nursing home who claims to be the last surviving white man from the Battle of Little Bighorn. And this book starts off in 1954. And so he seeks out this man. He eventually finds him. He is called Jack Crab. He claims to be 111 years old. He claims he was also raised by the Cheyenne Indians when he turned 10, and the Indians killed his family and adopted him. Now, the big problem is about Jack Crab. He is either one of the most fascinating, most talented, most extraordinary human beings that ever lived, or he is just an outright liar. You don't know in this book. The narrator, Snell, does not know if Crab was a hero or a liar, but he just lets the story go. And the idea of the story is that Snell interviewed Crab in the old folks' home, set out a tape recorder, and just let Jack talk. And Snell, all he did was edit down Crab's speech into written form and did some light editing to make it make sense. And this book is absolutely hilarious in some scenes and politically incorrect in many others. This was, of course, the product of the 1960s. It deals a lot with the life of the Native Americans. And well, Thomas Berger has a huge admiration for the Native Americans. He also has a very outdated view of them. But mostly he admires them, sees them for their strengths, but also identifies their weaknesses. So this is the kind of book that was written in the mid-20th century, and you don't get this kind of literary novel anymore. I know I was talking to Steve Donahue, who had a huge admiration for Thomas Berger, and he thought that all of Thomas Berger's books are out of print by now. They're not out of print. You can get Little Big Man in a paper copy, a digital copy, or an audio copy. I think more people should seek out Little Big Man and other works by Thomas Berger. The third book I finished was an audiobook, The Natural by Bernard Malamud, and it was originally published in 1952. It is the story of Roy Hobbs. It begins when he's a very young man. He and his recruiter are going out to Chicago to have a tryout to get on a major league team. And Roy Hobbs is supposed to be just a fantastic hitter and pitcher. Unfortunately, there is an incident that basically kills that ambition of being a baseball player. And he gets sidetracked for a number of years until he's in his early 30s. I believe he's 34. But he does get into a major league team in New York City that's not doing so well. There's some doubt in my mind whether the people that recruited him really thought he'd be a great player, or that they just wanted someone to fill a position. But it turns out that Roy Hobbs, even though he's in his early 30s, towards the end of a career age for most baseball players, turns out to be one hell of a fantastic ball player. And he's taking this team, and from the lowest ranked up to the top, and maybe he will lead them to the pennant and the World Series. Now, I am not a big baseball fan. I do occasionally go to minor league games. I see the Fred Nats here at Fredericksburg, Virginia's. You pay about $10 for a ticket, and you can go watch a ball game. And you can pay $12 for a premium beer. I could drink the Coors Light or the Miller Light or the Bud Light for less, maybe $8. But I'm still a sucker, and I'll go for that premium beer for the $12. But anyway, what I see at those minor league games is the fans really getting into the game and taunting and teasing and encouraging the players. And you get a lot of that same activity described in The Natural. So it seems that people have not changed that much from the 50s to the 2020s and still enjoy their ball games. And The Natural is an exciting story. It takes Roy Hobbs through his ups and his lows and his recoveries as a ball player and as a human being, and how he deals with life, and the fact that he is an older man just starting off in a career when he should be finishing it. I really liked it. I thought it was a good addition to the summer of sport, even though, as I said, I'm not a real sports fan. I'm very much glad that I read The Natural. For June on the Range, I picked up The Daybreakers by Louis L'Amour. This is the first written book in his Sackett's saga, and this is just a true Western. It starts off with some trouble, where there is some gunplay, and two brothers have to leave town and head out west to make their fortune, to get their family settled, and find some land. Unfortunately, I got about 100 pages into this 200-page book, and I just lost steam. Louis L'Amour is a fine writer. He has some peculiar metaphors every now and then, and for whatever reason, I just was not getting into it. I had some things going on in my life which were a bit distracting, and when I picked it up last night to do my reading, I just said, nah, I'm going to put this one aside. Sorry, Louis, but you're a DNF. I am also in the Ulysses 2024 project. This is where Alan at Big Hard Books and I are leading a discussion to get people to read Ulysses by James Joyce, one of the most fascinating and one of the most complicated novels written in the 20th century. I am reading this in this printed format. I am also listening to the audiobook while I read. That sort of helps me concentrate on the text. But what that also does is mean I can't slow down entirely. I can't take notes. I can't dive deep into the meanings that James Joyce has. I am happy with that situation. There is so much in this book that if I were to read one page and look up every reference, I could be reading this for a very, very long time. I just want to read this book as a novel, pick up what I can as I'm reading, and let some of that deeper meaning just, wash by and not worry about this. I am also listening to the great courses, lectures on Ulysses, and I listen to that course on each chapter before reading each chapter, so I have a little bit of a better understanding of what James Joyce is trying to accomplish with this novel. And what he's trying to accomplish is a whole lot. There's a good reason this is called the best novel on the English language. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with that finally, but I will make that determination once this journey is done. That will be done in the end of July. It's still not too late to join Ulysses 2024. I will leave a link to my Discord channel where I, Alan, and a bunch of other people are discussing Ulysses. Okay, that is a wrap for the first week in June. I have covered 2 books for June on the Range. That was Little Big Man and The Daybreakers. I have also finished 2 books for the big book of summer. That would be Eyes of the Void by Adrian Tchaikovsky and Little Big Man by Thomas Berger. I hope everyone else is having a great reading week and a great reading month for June. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.